Meeting, Columbia City Redevelopment, May 13, 2025. First item on the agenda is roll call. Carl Saylor, that's me, I think I'm here. Samara?
Here.
Angela? Here. Tad? Here. Scott's absent. David's absent. Okay, next item on the agenda is minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, Samara's motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Andy seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it carries. Next item on the agenda, where did you put this presentation?
That's why I was apologizing. Neither the presentation nor the resolution ended up on the agenda. That's my fault for not getting together with Ashley on that earlier.
Okay, let's go through the order.
Oh, well, it's not the declaratory resolution, it's the resolution to withhold, the resolution to determine the capture of incremental assessed value.
Yes, that one.
So it's a different resolution. So, no, when I'm lost, I know I'm lost. So, yes, I'm not on the agenda for either of those, sorry.
Okay, let's, if you put it down there, we'll leave it down there. Let's go through old business. Old business, first item on the agenda is LM&L. We're still awaiting clearance from IDEM, so that is unchanged from the last time we were here, but we have heard nothing negative. Next item on the agenda is Jackson Line. Okay, Hill, do you have anything you want to add to that?
We have, so not to take from Tad's,
Oh, you take away.
but Tad's been dealing with the commissioner. I met with the current property owner a couple weeks ago, and there is a little issue I won't bring up in a public meeting because it's not really for public, but there is a little issue. So that we're gonna have to work out, but now I'll turn to Tad, because Tad's between the proposed property owner and the current property owner.
So we have come to a tentative agreement that we will go forward with the swapping of the lots. And it was contingent upon a rendering that we all approved, that'll make it look nice and presentable, which I think everybody was copied on, no? Oh, there you go, Carl's got it. But it's basically gonna look like the parking lot that they already have behind the county building. They'll pave it, they'll do little landscaping around the sidewalks and everything. So that, as long as we're good with that, we can follow through, if we're all in agreement that that looks good, and swap those parking lots, the one that's down on East Van Buren. I would suggest, I think we'd probably put some signage if there already isn't some there, just so people know they can park there.
I loved it very.
And that was pretty much, I met with Chad and Rob Schuman, and so that was kind of the agreement we came up with. So,
And all of that pivots upon the current
yes.
property owner quit claiming their interest back to us, and I understand there
yes.
may be a
Exactly.
hitch and some negotiations surrounding that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll reach out to the current property owner today and to the commissioners today and get both of that moving.
Is everybody okay with the proposed swap and the aesthetic look of the parking lot? It's not a huge spot, so, but they'll pave it and make it look nice.
Yeah, I
And
think it'd be.
And I don't remember that we had taken a formal vote on authorizing that swap, and
We have.
it may be a wee bit premature because we are not the owners of title of the one property right now. Now, we are the owners of I guess, a contingent future interest or reversionary interest in it. So as long as apartments consistent with our agreement are not built out there by the deadline, that will come back to us ultimately anyway. But between now and then, we're waiting to have it quit claimed back to us. So this would be, the motion would be assuming that, you know, upon us getting title to the property, that we would swap it out for the other one, so.
I mean, maybe more forwardly, the option, it's really twofold option, right? Either the individual who holds the property builds the apartments on it, or they give it back to us so that we can work with the county on the swap. Like, those are the two paths forward.
Yeah.
So, I think it's a good thing, no matter which way it goes. I think it's positive for the city.
Exactly.
Okay, anybody have any comments, questions?
Did we want to authorize that now, or do you want to wait to see what happens with title to that parcel? Because you could authorize it in a contingent way, which is.
Yeah, I would say,
if we
let's
get the-
authorize it on a
Okay.
contingent way, and then it's off our plate.
Someone be willing to.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize with the contingent.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further comment? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that carries. So you got it. Okay, the former Whitley County Jail.
Oh, you want me to comment on that? Okay.
Well, you can
So-
say if you got it.
Okay, so I think we handed them out last time, right? I think I had the new numbers in there. Did I have the new numbers in there? No, I didn't have the
No.
new numbers in there. Okay, so the original numbers were at that $9 million-ish range. The new numbers, which is by preserving some of the walls, preserving the HVAC, doing some fine tuning, things like that, is closer to 5 million now, which is, I think, a positive step. We've turned that information over to our financial advisors to say, is this even a possibility? And if so, what are our options on the table? They are doing those calculations as we speak. So that is kind of where we're at right now. When I have more information, I'm happy to share that with you all, but ultimately, we're just waiting for the financial advisor to say, yes, you can, or no, you can't. Keep in mind, the city has a statutory debt limit that we are mandated to be below. And so, the last time I saw that debt limit, I don't know that this project is possible unless there's some creative financing and opportunities there. But I'm waiting to hear that officially from the people that do this for a living. So, that's kind of where we're at.
Is that even with the reduction, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Even with the reduction. But, I mean, I was straight up with Moak Park and their, I don't know, whoever did I don't remember who it was, but whoever did the I don't know, the financing piece, if you will, and I said that, like, this is not a project we can do. If it's $9 million, we'll just say, hey, thanks, it was a fun little jaunt into what could be, and we'll walk away, and so they went back to the drawing board, and like I said, I mean, there are contingencies still in there because of the cost environment, so it certainly could be lower than 5 million. But keep in mind that number does not equip the inside of that building. That is merely doing the exterior, the roof, the interior demo. Some of that, to be fair, is on the police department to kind of get them where they need to be or where they want to be. So there is some things that can be sliced and diced a little bit more than what's already in there. But, you know, again, you're talking about a very solidified concrete building that is going to take a lot more to change into what we want it to do. It's a beautiful building, and I just would hate to have it bulldozed, but
Yeah.
the other side of that is that if it's going to cost $5 million to do something significant with it, then we really need to go back to the drawing board, so, just candidly.
So if it's not feasible, we just,
So if it's not feasible,
Reimagine
then
something else.
our agreement is, well, so a
Knock it
couple
down.
things. I mean, our first and foremost agreement with the county is that they have right of first refusal, so, or right, first right of refusal. So they have the ability to take the building back. If we're not going to do something with it and we are going to, let's say, sell it, then they have the first right to get it back and to do with it what they want. If they choose to accept it, then I guess officially our hands are kind of clean. If they choose not to accept it back, it's still ours, then we can be a little creative with how we market, renovate, contribute to an economic development project, bulldoze. There's lots of options on the table in regards to that. So that's kind of where we're at. It's kind of like once the final or financial piece gets decided, then the fork in the road occurs. And then which way of that fork we go, that's kind of where we're at. Does that answer your question?
It does.
That it? Okay, next item on agenda is the Smith Brothers property. We did have a conference call this morning. Several of us in the room were on it. As I said last meeting, the phase one has been completed and returned, If anybody wants it, I can send it to you, but there was nothing really unexpected in the phase one. We had a conference call this morning primarily to determine how to go forwards. And the next step to go forward would be what effectively is a phase two environmental. There were some issues that are in the old Bonflex building, which is the one nearest the Cardinal Rain property down there. There were some pits and some trench drains and stuff that were kind of unexpected to be found, but a lot of times they indicate pollution. So there needs to be a bunch of sampling done. Anyway, which is part of the phase two. I asked him for some kind of a price. Okay, he gave me a range of $20,000 to $30,000. Which didn't really, I didn't find it strange. And I doubt if it's going to be 20. I doubt if it's going to be 25. It'll probably be closer to 30. So and our thing from now is do we want to commission this phase two? And if we do, we can pay for it out of the railroad TIF. We got money in the railroad TIF to pay for it. And it might, it'll help us to know better what we're up against with this property going forwards, how bad the polluted areas are, what kind of remediation is going to be required to deal with them, and thus so on. Anyway, that is the that's where it's at. So what I would be interested in is if this is like I'm asking for an approved motion to spend up to $30,000 for a phase two. There's $76,000 in the railroad TIF, so we got enough money to cover it there. We do not want to use the balance of what's left in the LM&L property in case we got to do something else between now and whatever the end result is at this point in time. There, like Zenz keeps saying, it was 100+ years of industrial use down there, and a lot of ill can happen in 100 and some years. So they are into the thing of seeking out past insurers right now to give our environmental lawyer more ammunition to try to figure out what the potential is for a recovery. And it's probably, having an environmental review of phase two is probably gonna, in the end, help our position, because we know, we know if it's a cut and run situation, because it's so bad, it's never gonna recover enough money, or we know that it's doable, and part of this whole thing is collecting past insurance policies to know who the lawyer can go after, and, what kind of possibilities there are for, a recovery. So without the phase two, it makes it almost impossible for them to, to go forward legally. And if, in the phase two, and the phase two helps us better come up with an idea of what the place is worth. So, anyway, that is kind of the issue. There's, it's before, a lot of this property the city used to own in some way, shape, or form. They had an electric plant down there, and they had a cooling pool down there, and they had a transformer bank down there. There are essentially, three different parts down there. There's the southerly part, which was various and sundry things over its life. It's been anything from an ice cream plant to an ice plant to a rubber thing. And then there's a chunk in the middle that the city still owns that was a transformer bank for city utilities. And then pit up there was a cooling pool. It was actually originally an ice pool for creating artificial ice long ago and far away. And then the power plant used it to create a cooling pool before they dumped the water back in the river. So anyway, that is, and then the next property to the north, which is not directly involved in this, was owned by the city, and it was a power plant for a long time. And it's been transferred to another owner that's not involved in this. So that's kind of where it is.
So in order for us to go forward, we basically have to have a phase.
We need a phase two to go forward, yes. And it's probably gonna cost $30,000.
And then if the
Or
phase
very
two,
close to it.
and if, let's say the phase two comes back, everything looks good, everything passes, then we can move forward on whatever.
And they are currently researching potential insurance policies to go against on this, and there are requests out there for any more policies and any more information about the policies, so we know what the potential is.
As a reminder, we did the same thing with LML, where we had to go and we hired Ice Miller, they went and did a whole bunch of lawyering and getting insurance policies and all that kind of stuff. And from there, we were able to go through with the environmental lawsuit against the old policies and the companies that held those policies for cleanup purposes, which is why we have the LML settlement that we have, the settlement account we have. The goal, as a reminder to the public who may or may not be watching, as well as you all, is just that the ultimate goal we have, I think, as the Redevelopment Commission, as the city, is that we'd like to remediate that area as well. So certainly we'll be going after old city policies that insurance carriers, the CGL policies, what's it, commercial general liability policies. And so be going back through all those things as well. So Rosie's working on that, and we're hopeful that we can get some of the policies of the current property owner to the south of there, the Smith Brothers property, and really work up the environmental case so that we can go and have good hearty chat with the environmental attorneys on all those insurance carriers and say, hey, listen, there's been literally decades of contamination that's happened, and it's time to pony up so we can clean up the property and hopefully get it developable where we can then have not just one, but two major properties on the south side that can be redeveloped and can be something that we can all be proud of. That's long-term effort, obviously.
There will be one other step in there prior to trying to acquire the thing.
Sure.
We will try to submit to IDEM.
IDEM, yep.
A thing that says that if we do end up owning the property, they aren't gonna come back against,
Yeah.
redevelopment because we, own the property. Because whoever's the poor slop that ends up owning the property is one of the first targets
Yep.
of any lawsuit.
Yep.
So, anyway, that's it. So, what I would like to see is a motion to, for us to go forward with commissioning this, this phase 2. We can probably expect it to show up about the June meeting. So, that's,
Do you want an up to 30,000?
I would like it up to 30,000 because I don't think it's gonna come in the buy. I mean, I've been in this bid business too long and it never come in at the low end, so.
Well, I move that we approve having the phase 2 done on that property, Smith Brothers property.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or?
Oh, I need to add to that, up to $30,000.
Up to 30,000,
And out of the railroad TIF.
yeah. Out of the railroad TIF, yeah.
I'll
Okay.
second all the
Oh, the only
additives.
Okay.
Okay. Hearing no further objections or questions, all in favor of approving this motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it approves. Okay, next item on the agenda is maintaining Marshall Plaza.
It was completed, she gave it a fresh over for $470, I want to say off the top of my head,
Yeah, I
so,
saw the thing.
yep. It came in under budget.
Good. Something was once in a while.
Doesn't happen often. Doesn't happen often.
Hey, Chip, there was a block that keeps falling off that goes around that retaining wall around the tree, because I put it back on Saturday when I was over there taking pictures for.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I went through last year and re-glued them all
Yeah.
down, so I'll
It was- Yeah, I went up and
Thank you.
put it back on, and maybe we'll have the Three Birds crew, and we have some free time, go over and we'll clean up all the furniture.
Okay, thank you, I'll,
Okay, the
Take care of that.
declaratory resolution we don't have,
I'm gonna ask to continue that or table that till the
Okay.
next meeting. I checked with Chip. I'm not sure if that's something that they were waiting on additional information from us. Chip and I were both under the impression they were gonna get the declaratory resolution from draft form into regular form. Chip, is that a pretty accurate rendition of your
Yes.
understanding? So I'm not sure whether the ball got dropped, whether it's taking longer than we thought, but no, we don't have a declaratory resolution to consider today for that north side project, the mixed-use project.
I do want to give a quick update. Greg, do you want me to reach out to her, or do you want to?
Well, there was an email, and I can't remember if I put you, did you in the email, but I did reach out
Okay. Okay.
earlier today, so it wasn't a great, I was kind of like looking over the agenda, I was like, oh, yeah, where did we end up with, on that? And I went back and looked, and I haven't heard back, but you are welcome to also, just to see if they are waiting for me for something or waiting for you, but
Okay.
the last thing I saw in terms of the email exchange was you had sent them that updated site plan or whatever.
Yeah.
With the more detailed information, and I think they said that'll work, or something like that, but that's been a month ago.
Along that line, we have reestablished the Economic Development Commission. Tad was the city council appointment. I am my own appointment. And David Smith was the county council's appointment. So just so you know, the three-member Columbia City Economic Development Commission, not to be confused with the Whitley County Economic Development Corporation. The Columbia City Economic Development Commission has been reestablished for the purposes of bonding or whatever else we need to do. So I think David.
That was one of the steps, if you'll remember, that was one of the steps we had to do here before we could move forward.
So my quick update, we are moving forward. Thursday, we are going to go meet with NDOT because we are tying into State Road 109. So we have to get NDOT's approval for that. We 100% assume that we have to do a traffic study. So we have acquired an engineering firm to do a traffic study. So everything is moving a lot quicker than Jackson Line Street property. I did ask the property owner what his take was, commercial versus real estate. He's still shopping both of that, so that's our problem with going TIF.
Versus residential.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No,
sorry. And
just so there's not.
got a lot of squirrels running in my brain right now, so, yeah, so we are moving forward. I don't want to take up Greg's time anymore because we do have a hard set 12:30 deadline.
Nope. Did not know that.
Joking.
Okay, I will this is one update, just, in aggregate, in our TIF districts right now, we got 216,000 that we've got to spend. Then 70-some of it was in the railroad, most of the rest of it's in downtown. And this is our economic, which is basically the general fund. We've got 93,000, and in environmental remediation, which is what's left of the LM and LMAS down there, there's 216,000. So we're still not in the hole on anything. So that's just, an update for your knowledge going forward. Okay, you've got the
Okay.
new business.
Well, let's first,
Well, I got a couple of things later.
Oh, okay.
You want to do mine, or you want to do?
go ahead and do yours.
Do we do this resolution of assessed? Oh, yeah, this is related to
Yep.
yours. Okay, we have to do an annual resolution of assessed valuation because of the TIF districts and reporting back. Anyway, this is the resolution. If anybody wants it, I can pass it around, but it says we're not giving the money back, basically. And we intend to spend it. So,
Well, and between the jail project and the South Chauncey Street project, I think we have every reason to keep
yeah.
a hold of all this increment right now. We have several different things that might require contributions. So yeah, this is the annual one. We're just waiting for a motion to adopt resolution number 2025 R1.
Make a motion, we adopt resolution 2025 R1.
Did you second it? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
And I would love 2 copies of that, so I'm going to start those around. And one will go to Ashley, I'll take the other one with me. And then with that, Carl, did you have something else too? Because we've got, I'm going
Do
to,
we have to do anything with this?
that is, if you just sign those, that's basically
All
just
of
saying
them?
that, yeah.
I'll do that as
We gotta send out the
send it to
letters.
somebody else.
That's to send out the letters to tell all the overlapping taxing districts that we're keeping the increment.
Okay, we also have a request for payment for Patrick Ball for the awning that I think they did on that Mercantile building and the rebuild and on the tuck pointing of the facade. And it is a request for, it's been paid, he paid $23,000 and some change for it. I don't know what we approved for it. We had a $3,000 limit, if I remember
I don't
correctly.
think it was so much though. I thought it was only like.
Well, there's a $3,000 limit no matter what for a facade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, they did expend 23,000 and change. So, and it is completed, so we need to approve it for payment.
So we approving for 3,000?
3,000 would be where, yeah, you have it.
Well, I have the, Commissioner Nave, in excess of $3,000, and it was approved in March. So, yeah,
Okay,
it's like 3,000.
so it's 3,000.
All right, I move that we reimburse back Paul for 3,000 for the facade.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All, any opposed? Okay, it carries.
I do have one thing to interject, Greg. I'm just keep on kicking your can down the road. I have been meeting with another downtown business owner, trying to get them to apply for a facade grant. They want to do some windows and doors and stuff like that, so be prepared. Hopefully next month they get their stuff around.
A question real quick for the redevelopment commission. Right now, I mean, are we still on a 2 times a year grant cycle, or are we just taking it as we go? I mean, I guess it's more of a question as to what your philosophical spot is, because I think we're supposed to be taking them twice a year, but,
Yes, that's right.
but I think May was one of those 2 times, if I remember correctly, and
It's like May and September.
and I don't really care.
This
It's
is,
up to you guys what you want to do. I just want to make sure that whatever the application is reflective of what you want.
The last really big discussion we had about this, it was a long time ago. And
Seems like it was
we
6
at
months
that
ago.
time, we were having the $3,000 facade grant, but we were going to explore having a larger facade.
Yes.
And the larger facade grant is the one that we really intended to be on a 6-month cycle.
Okay.
Okay, and the smaller one, we really didn't set a time deadline to,
Yeah.
that I remember, so, and then we never did do the larger. So, I don't have a problem with doing them as submitted on the $3,000 ones myself, and I don't know, you guys can speak for yourselves. But that's kind of been how it's been done for the last few years.
Well, and it's not, if I can interject, they're not beating, not like we have a list of 15 of them that
Yeah.
come in the month of May. So that's kind of, well, if I can pivot real quick away from the mayor's discussion, I've got a question twice about, it's a fine line. I fully accept whatever you guys say. I haven't said anything on it. They're asking now about the backside of their properties because people are starting to use the alleys more. I said I'd have to bounce it off you. It's not a facade, but it is the entrance for a lot of the apartments and a lot of the businesses do use the backside of it. I know that one of the restaurants wants to do a party this summer back behind his property and kind of fence off the area and kind of do a beer tent or something like that. So there I could, he was not the one asking, but just food for thought. You can kick that can down the road.
Do we have a limit on how many times someone can apply?
In a year, I thought we did.
Say what?
I thought there was a time period.
I think there's a time frame.
Isn't
I
it
agree
one
with that.
site per year? Because I feel like at one point in time, there was a conversation about if someone came in December
Did
1st for this side and
Why?
January 1st for this side, theoretically, that's in 2 separate years. But I don't know if we did a calendar year or a rolling year. Again, it's been so long since we've had someone want to do multiple sides of their building. I don't remember personally, but
Is there like a cap on hey, we've given you X amount of dollars, that's all, or?
That would be up to you guys.
I don't know that we
so.
have.
I don't think
I don't know that we
there
have an
was.
automatic one, but it, clearly you don't have to give any money to
Sure.
any of these that you
Yeah.
don't want to.
I wouldn't be opposed to that, Chip,
Okay,
as long as it, was presented in a manner where it looks like it's gonna be, eyeballs are gonna be on it from the public.
yeah, okay. I'll just tell them to apply.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We can
okay.
either say yea or nay, yeah.
Yep, understand.
What are we gonna do with the bigger, I mean, are we gonna do the bigger facade thing at some point?
We'd have
What
to
are we gonna do?
assemble it. I mean, we don't have any criteria for it. And then that
That
one.
got pushed to the wayside, didn't it?
That's, it just I mean, the world went south, and so did it.
I mean, do we wanna revisit that and try to get something going?
It might be something to revisit. I think the way we approached it the last time was, made it really difficult to come up with there were too many people involved. And we couldn't, and you couldn't come up with them.
Well, I mean, personally, I wonder what's the general tenets of a larger facade grant, right? Like, right now, your $3,000 facade grant are really just for windows, tuck pointing, awning, things like that, right? So, and I don't know if a larger one is 7,000, 10,000, 20,000, I don't know what that even looks like, but I guess my question would be is, what kind of improvements would the redevelopment commission want to incentivize with that larger facade grant? Is it for foundational issues? Is it for roofs that has been the hot topic for as long as I've been here? Is it, is it the lipstick on a pig idea? How do we address some of those major concerns? Is that what you want to go after? Is it for a total renovation of a building? What is it that the redevelopment commission wants to incentivize? Because ultimately, the goal is to incentivize something that will return the investment back to the TIF district that then allows us to grow that amount to put back into downtown, right? I would also maybe just keep in your mind that in 2028, we're planning to do a major downtown revitalization project that I anticipate the redevelopment commission would be in some way, shape, or form financially a part of. Again, we're down the road for that, but just to put that in the back of your mind, we anticipate that will be coming at some point. And who knows where funding's gonna be at that,
True.
at that point with the feds and the state and all kinds of things. But I think it's really just define what you
Are you
want.
suggesting we should save some of that money then and not, is that what you're suggesting?
I'm not suggesting, no,
Okay.
I'm not suggesting you should do one thing or another. I guess my point of saying all that is first and foremost, you need to figure out what you want to incentivize. Because you throw a big dollar amount out there, you're gonna have people come out of the woodwork that says, oh, I really need to do X, Y, and Z, and is that gonna fit what you want to incentivize, right? But then the other piece of that is, thinking about from a long-term perspective, what is it that you want downtown to be when it grows up?
I'd be happy to look more into this.
And I'm gonna make a suggestion, Samara, if you're gonna look into this, I'm gonna suggest dovetailing off what the mayor just said.
Yeah.
That you might consider talking with Kim Erdley over at the assessor's office. It's gonna sound really greedy, but let's find out what kind of improvements translate into a higher assessment most readily.
It's very fair.
And to me, if you're gonna target something to be fiscally responsible with those monies, I would think what we wanna do is target, and I think that's where we ended up with facades in the first place, which is front building, which is stuff that at the least amount of money will most greatly improve the value of the building or the assessed value.
I mean, theoretically, you could incentivize someone to bulldoze their building and build a new one, and that would be the best case scenario for TIF
There's a
recapture,
couple
right?
that-
There's a couple that probably we wouldn't be sad about.
It would go higher in that
As
list.
long
No,
as
that's
they were
awesome.
rebuilt,
Yeah,
right?
if they-
As long as they were rebuilt. But my point of saying that is I don't think that that's anything, I think that's I don't think it's greedy at all. The
No, I
whole
think
purpose of a
that's
TIF
That's,
is
yes, I mean,
Yeah.
to bring money back in.
it sounded very transactional, and I was like, but that is
No.
really what the
I think
purpose
that's
of it
very
is.
fair. I think you're very
Yeah.
fair.
I mean, our biggest TIF project was prior to Van Buren Flats. And that's
Absolutely.
essentially what
Well, we had to
happened.
restart our redevelop, or our TIF district specifically to capture the increment on that building.
So, yeah, sometimes that's good. When we were in conversations about this larger TIF district, at the time, there was 2 or 3 owners in town that had tried to rebuild their buildings, but they had structural issues that were, getting kind of expensive to deal with. And that was the approach. Long ago and far away when we started this thing, I think we used to do $10,000.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So, it was, and this was all, pre the Great Recession. And there were multiple places in town that we did 2 facades on because they had 2 street-facing facades. And so they got 10K apiece on both facades. Now, but they expended a lot more money than 20,000, and it did make the, building look, a lot better. The unfortunate part is tax-wise, you can drop $500,000 on the interior of a building, and it doesn't do a whole lot to increase the tax value
Yep.
of the building. However, it makes it more useful
Sure.
and more attractive to whoever is going to be the owner or the tenant or whatever, what it's going to be used for. So, anyway, I guess we've done that. Okay, Greg.
Well, it's actually not the Greg show at this point, it's gonna be the Cohen show. He's going to
Okay.
do the PowerPoint. This is Cohen Reimers, another attorney with our office, and he actually has done most of the preparation on this, and Colin?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like we have anybody from under the,
No.
the overlapping taxing districts, but we've already previously sent out those notices to, oh wait, I'm sorry,
Oh,
Your
yeah.
Honor.
I'm here on
Right
behalf of
there.
the city of Columbia
Right
City.
there, he's on, here on
Looking
behalf of the
forward
city.
to seeing what's going on with the taxing overlapping.
He couldn't even
taxing.
sleep last night. He was
So, I did, I was in here just anxious.
Well, we have a lot of people who should be here today, but,
He couldn't even
Okay.
sleep. He's like a kid before Christmas. He was something else.
He lives for this.
I was really hoping you wouldn't pass a resolution, all that money would come back to the village, but here we are.
Perfect. Okay, so I imagine a lot of you guys have already seen this presentation, though, so we'll just kind of fly through it and make sure we hit all the key points there. So we actually do have a video first up. So you guys have probably seen it, but I want to make sure.
It is the same
I
video.
think you're gonna need to turn the volume up.
Make sure you watch it again.
It's pretty.
It's a good refresher.
Financing. TIF districts are formed by redevelopment commissions, hoping to generate private investment, thus improving an area's employment, infrastructure, environment, and more. While many TIF districts concentrate on revitalization of existing structures, investment in greenfield or undeveloped properties also occurs. The area's assessed value at the time a TIF district is created is the base AV. This ensures that all taxes collected on the base AV continue to be passed to the overlapping taxing units inside the TIF district. The incremental AV, which is anything above the base, is multiplied by the district's tax rate to determine TIF revenue for the area. TIF revenues are spent on a wide array of critical projects, including bricks and mortar infrastructure projects, both above and below ground, as well as game-changing facade improvements. Clean, safe streets, and recreational amenities speak volumes about a community's viability. Therefore, TIF is used to provide enhancements that will draw talent and the businesses that follow. TIF is a powerful tool for Hoosier cities, towns, and counties. With this tool comes a significant amount of transparency and oversight. All formal actions occur during a combination of public meetings and public hearings. Online reports are generated and submitted to state agencies, overlapping units, and posted online for all to see. All redevelopment commissions are required to have a non-voting member from the appropriate school district. All redevelopment commissions are required to hold in-person meetings with all impacted taxing units. To sum it up, TIF is a vital, effective, transparent economic development tool for local governments, used to promote investment that would not otherwise occur. To learn more about how Indiana communities are using TIF as a quality of life driver, visit aimindiana.org/TIF.
Okay. Not again. Okay, so like we had mentioned here, several entities are regularly invited on a yearly basis for a presentation regarding a summary of what the tax incremental financing capture of the increment itself actually ended up being for the previous year. We typically have to estimate these, but we do use information that's certified from the assessor's office to base our information. So as you guys are aware, there is these separate units here. So Columbia City, Columbia Township, Whitley County, Peabody Public Library, and Whitley County Consolidated Schools.
Keep going. I don't know where the microphone is here.
Oh,
Sorry. No, you're good, you're good. I just gotta get it for recording.
So you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so as I'd mentioned, there's several different units who have overlapping tax responsibility, basically, inside of the TIF district. So when we make our calculations for the breakdown of all of the increment that's actually captured, we have to base it off of these ones. The solid waste district is not considered because they do have a fixed rate. But as you can see, the two main taxing districts that are impacted would be WCCS as well as the city for those purposes. So as you guys are aware, we do have 3 separate allocation areas here in Columbia City. The first one would be our basically allocation area number 2 is what we call it. It's that land right off of 9, as you can see there in the blue. Right now there's no, I don't believe there's any current development on the property. So on the year to year, its increment doesn't actually increase too much. Maybe goes up or down $20 in that range. So right now, that's kind of the bottom one in terms of actual capture of increment funding. Here you can see the breakdown. 293, I think it's actually up this year compared to last year. But WCCS and Columbia City are obviously the most impacted entities by that number, or by the increment capture. And then we've got Columbia Township at about $2 or 1%, and then Whitley County and Peabody Public Library there, who are also impacted. So the next entity is the railroad corridor, as you guys had talked about earlier. This covers quite a bit of area that's got a lot of industrial in there, as well as some, I don't know if there's any residential in there, but a lot of the area is actually industrial. And for its captured increment this year, it was $25,783. WCCS made up about $10,000 of that. Columbia City was just behind it at $9,000. And then you had Columbia Township at $257, Whitley County at $4,300, and then Peabody Public Library, who was about at $1,500. The next one is Columbia City allocation area, or the downtown economic area. This is the one that was established in 2018, as the mayor had mentioned earlier. It had to be basically, they had to let go of the increment, reset the base value. So it took some time to reset its actual increment increasing. And as a result, it's actually started to get to the point now where you're capturing quite a bit of the increase in the assessed value. This year was actually, I believe, the highest at $61,000. So a pretty substantial contribution to the TIF fund overall, especially considering that a lot of new developments in downtown Columbia City have started to take off. So that would be WCCS, obviously about $24,000, Columbia City at 21. You've got Whitley County just behind that at 10, Peabody Public Library at about 3, and then Columbia Township at about $600 or 1% of that. As we had mentioned earlier, this kind of, we've had this in the slideshow every year. It just reiterates the fact that we had to reset the downtown area, which used to be the central redevelopment area. And as you can see on the chart here, you can kind of see where it had to, we dealt with that a little bit. The line that reaches all the way up to the 60,000 is the downtown area. So since 2020, essentially, it's been steadily climbing for some profit for the TIF funds. That would be the railroad corridor is the middle one there, which you can see has kind of stabled out just a tad bit, but it actually was up from last year by about $2,000. The reference point looks less dramatic than it is because of the substantial increase from the downtown center. And then obviously, as you guys know, if there is no incremental value in the assessed value on the property, you won't see any new capture from the assessed value because no new developments have been implemented. So that's what you see on the bottom line there. That orange line would be the area number 2 or the one right off of 9. So were there any questions? No?
No, I think that it validates, thank you. I think that really validates the mayor's urging and this commission's decision to do that reset back in 2018, because you could look back even before that took a dip, we were at like 30,000. So we basically doubled the increment we were able to use for some of these downtown projects. Well, what did the representative of the overlapping taxing district think then?
Well, I'm as the city, obviously, we've seen your participation in multiple projects, and specifically, most recently, the jail project. So, I think from a return on investment, I think it's a good thing. And as that downtown TIF continues to grow, and as the railroad TIF continues to grow, and you invest more money into that. I think it's good for the city. I mean, it's a way in which we can capture money and reinvest in the downtown, reinvest in the railroad TIF, and clean up some of these areas and doing things like that. So I think it's money well spent that would have ultimately been passed through for general government services, and instead it's now focused on beautifying the downtown and cleaning up areas of contamination. So I think it's a very positive thing for the city.
Thank you. I don't know that we have anything else then.
Okay, does anybody else have any new stuff that was not on the agenda? Hearing none, shall we adjourn?
I just have something real quick.
Okay.
Chip,
Yes.
I noticed some of the trees are dying already.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a year warranty.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
You talking about on 9 and
Yeah.
If you want, Chip, I have a shovel in tomorrow.
You mean Jackson? You mean Jackson?
Somebody's already willed me to put in a fence because I'm a fence installer, so.
Okay, I guess we're.
Okay.
On.
Cover over here.